All right. So, I'm going to get into some material here today. And, yesterday I was talking about the evolution of consciousness through dreams. And, how important of a topic that is, which the Pythagorean Illuminati go over every single important topic that you could even ever imagine, and analyzing everything and explaining all of the answers, and the greatest compendium of knowledge ever devised. And I've been, in it for 8 years now. And once I was illuminated, there was no going back. And I had, taken the red pill and, accepted the call to adventure, and out of the world of common day into the extraordinary world. And part of the extraordinary world is, understanding that consciousness and dreams, and how important dreams are. And the four levels of consciousness, or four states, are there's waking and dreaming separated, which is like you have your waking state and you live your waking life, the physical reality that you're in, and that's what you experience. And then you have dreams, and then you have those separate, because they are two different worlds, and two different domains. And the first is waking and dreaming separated. The second is waking and dreaming merged, which is what I'm currently going through right now, with merging the two domains together. And even though I'm physically here and physically in the physical world, my dreams from last night have an effect on me in this world. And that's important, because in dreams you can feel things. You can feel joy, you can feel pain, you can feel sorrow, you can feel happiness, you can feel love, you can feel everything that you can feel in this world. You can feel it in your dreams. So that's real. You can feel things in your dreams, and that's just as real. So that's part of the mystery. And the third state is waking only consciousness, which is what most of scientific material, well, all of scientific materialists, atheists and stuff, are in, where they don't, dreams are, they don't have dreams, and the world of the senses is the only world that there is, which that's not true as well. And as the paradigm shifts, we're gonna awaken more to that. And then there's dreaming consciousness, which is just dreams only, which like psychopaths and schizophrenics and stuff are more in. They're more into their mind. They're more they're just act completely in their mind, and out of this world. So that's what that is. And just from my dreams last night, had some amazing dreams, and I feel I was meeting people in my dreams, being given things in my dreams, and feeling how that feels. And then that carries into my life when I'm able to do that. So this book today that I'm gonna be going into is called Free Will and the Will to Power. And it's a very important topic because the free will, that's a discussion that people obviously have, and most people, um, you know, they believe they have free will, but it's a contradiction. If you believe in a God that knows everything that you're gonna do, and already knows what you're gonna do, and like, you don't have free will if you are in belief of something that knows everything you're already gonna do, because that's actually no one knows what you're gonna do except for you, and you have the free will to do it, and that's part of the mystery too. And as we evolve back into our divinity, we are going to be connecting more with this truth that there is free will. Quotations. Life is like a game of cards. The hand you are dealt is determinism. The way you play it is free will. So that's Jawaharlal Nehru, and this is basically saying the cards we will dealt, what is determined in our life is what's considered determinism, and your life can and the things that happen in your life can either like determine your life, or you can have free will. So there's either determinism or free will. We must believe in free will. We have no choice. Isaac Bashevis Singer. In the Illuminati, they take all of the works of all the greatest people and put it all together. Grand unified theory of everything. That's what I found in studying all their work. That like all of the greatest minds that have ever been is all included in their work. Free will carried many a soul to hell, but never a soul to heaven. Charles Spurgeon. Free will is an illusion. People always choose the perceived path of greatest pleasure. Scott Adams. As far as I can see, it's not important that we have free will, just as long as we have the illusion of free will to stop us going mad. Alan Moore. God, our genes, our environment, or some stupid programmer keying in code at an ancient terminal. There's no way free will can ever exist if we as individuals are the result of some external cause. Orson Scott Card. I like Orson. He's the author of Ender's Game, which is definitely a very important book, for people that are involved in the secret space program and being a MyLab and understanding what's going on there. Because they train children to fight wars, and that's what the secret space program does. Man is a masterpiece of creation, if for no other reason than that, all the weight of evidence for determinism notwithstanding, he believes he has free will. George C. Littenberg. You say I am not free, but I have raised and lowered my arm. Everyone understands this illogical answer is an irrefutable proof of freedom. Leo Tolstoy. And I always like to relate, because it's like when I'm moving, I'm raising my arm, I'm raising this arm, I'm, turning my head, I'm choosing to go walk over there, I'm choosing to go walk over here. That's That's free will, is you are deciding what you are doing. And in my life, I have been able to work to that point and understand that I have the free will to do what I want in my life, which I understand is the case for all. And that's one thing we have to wake up to. You know, my grandmother is a good key, because she's always like, you know, you just got to do what you want to do. And that's really all there is to it. So, is the most self-evident fact of your life also the greatest illusion of your life? You might think you are free, but you find a host of intellectuals telling you it's impossible. You are a marionette, they say. You have never once performed a free action. You only imagine you have. What an imagination you have. Not that you have any choice over what you imagine. You're just a machine after all. Which, you know, that's what scientific materialism, you know, empiricism says, is you're just a machine, and the universe is a machine. There's no free will, there's no mind, there's no imagination. Mind doesn't create matter, you know, and you're a marionette, you're a puppet that is just not free, which is not true. Because we are free. And we just have to remember that. Are you controlled by the will of God? Are you the helpless puppet of scientific forces over which you have no control? Do the fates stand over your shoulder, dictating everything you do? Do you have a destiny that no power can alter? Were you predestined for heaven or hell before you were even born? This is important, because, you know, the will of God is like, that's saying that God is, you know, controlling everything, you know, that everybody does, which that is well, it's true, but it's also an illusion. Like, we are God, but God, of the Abrahamic God, which people say that's they mainstream religions of Christianity, Abrahamism, and Islam, put a sky daddy spy god, that condemns everybody to hell, in charge, which I have found that that is the demiurge that keeps people locked into a reincarnational loop, and the only way to escape that is to, like, live freely, however that way is to each individual. And how exactly can you be free? What does freedom even mean? What on earth is free will? Do you really know that you have it? Or do you just delude yourself that you do, while always doing what you were inevitably going to do? If you are made of nothing but atoms, obeying inexorable scientific laws, how can you possibly be free? How can unfree atoms produce free human beings? Isn't that a simple impossibility? There is only one way in which you can be free. You must be as old as existence itself, i.e., eternal. That means that nothing caused you and nothing created you. It means that you are an autonomous agent equipped with your own causation. You yourself cause things to happen. As poet William Ernest Henley famously said, "You are the master of your fate and the captain of your soul." So I mean, it's pretty reasonable and logical to like deduct that you are the determinant of everything you do. Like what you think happens, what you think matters. Like if I decide that I want to ride my bike, I'm going to go ride my bike. If I decide I want to write, I'm going to write. If I decide, I want to go to work, I'm going to go to work. If I decide I want to, do some exercise, I'm going to do some exercise. If I decide I want to watch some TV, I'm going to watch some TV. I decide I want to, meditate, I'm going to meditate. If I decide I want to pray, I'm going to pray. No one is determining what that besides myself. So this is important to realize for empowering yourself, because as long as you're giving your power away to something else, like a sky daddy, or a prophet or a messiah, like you will not be fully empowered. For you to be free, it must be false that you live in a scientific, materialist world. Only then can it be true that you are not merely imagining that you are free. This book explains how you are really free, and you are emphatically not experiencing the most bizarre fantasy of all time, constructed by mindless, dead atoms that have never once fantasized. You are free because you have no master, because you have existed forever, because you are an infinite soul with infinite power. What is an immortal, indestructible soul? It's a mathematical mind, a monad. It's an immaterial singularity outside space and time. It's a frequency domain defined not by God, but by the God equation. You yourself are a soul, and that's exactly why you are free. No machine can ever be free. Nothing born in time can be free. You may think that you yourself were born in time, but you weren't. Your body was created at a specific time, but not your soul. Your soul was never created at all, and doesn't exist in time. It's eternal. So this is just getting into, having no master. You being the master of your fate and the captain of your soul, because in my path of, the hero's journey in becoming God and becoming a master, which is the path of the enlightened ones, who are the Illuminati that have become masters and escaped the deluge. That's what they've done. They're not slaves anymore, the enlightened ones. So, alright. Because I've, in all of my videos that I've done, I have covered, so many important topics that are key and necessary for really the salvation of humanity, through knowledge and not faith. Because faith is the thing that keeps people not knowing the full truth. And, You can have faith and be like, I have faith that everything's going to be all right. I have faith that there's a being that is going to take care of everything for me, and all of that, like, which is not true, because you are that being. You are God, and there is entities that are guides, that are helpers, because from all of my studies that I've gotten, that humanity is actually higher than angels. Like most humans, that are locked into religions and stuff, think that we're lower than angels. That angels are, above us. But actually, they're here to help us. You know what I'm saying? They're here helping us, and because we're divine, and we actually chose to something that they didn't, and that is to have a body, and that's why they help us in this world, because choosing to have a body is definitely a noble endeavor. Free Will by Galen Strawson. The question of free will remains one of the most fiercely debated in the whole of philosophy. Galen Strawson provides an excellent introduction to the main positions that philosophers have adopted. So we're going to get into some philosophy now. Free will is the conventional name of a topic that is best discussed without reference to the will. It is a topic in metaphysics and ethics as much as in the philosophy of mind. Its central questions are: what is it to act or choose freely? And what is it to be morally responsible for one's actions or choices? These two questions are closely connected, for it seems clear that freedom of action is a necessary condition of moral responsibility, even if it's not sufficient. So, the two questions, what is it to act freely, and what is it to be morally responsible for one's actions? Like, actions. You can think and do, and what you think and do and how you act is, going to be either morally right or morally wrong. It's either going to be, good or evil, and in the definition of what good and evil are. But actually, to escape the duality, and get beyond good and evil, you have to be able to not be in duality. Philosophers give very different answers to these questions. Consequently, they gave very different answers to two more specific questions, which are questions about ourselves. Are we free agents? And can we be morally responsible for what we do? Answers to 1 and 2 range from yes, yes to no, no, via yes, no, and various degrees of perhaps, possibly, and in a sense. The fourth pair of outright answers, no, yes, is rare, but it has a kind of existential panache, and appears to be embraced by Wintergreen in Joseph Heller's novel Closing Time, as well as by some Protestants. Prominent among the yes, yes sayers are compatibilists. They have this name because they hold that free will is compatible with determinism. Briefly, determinism is the view that the history of the universe is fixed. Everything that happens is necessitated by what has already gone before, in such a way that nothing can happen otherwise than it does. According to compatibilists, freedom is compatible with determinism because freedom is essentially just a matter of not being constrained or hindered in certain ways when one acts or chooses. Suppose one is a normal adult human being in a normal circumstances. Then one is able to act and choose freely. No one is holding a gun to one's head. One is not, unless they are. One is not being threatened or manhandled. One is not drugged or in chains or subject to a psychological compulsion like kleptomania or post-hypnotic command. One is therefore wholly free to choose and act, even if one's whole physical and psychological makeup is entirely determined by things for which one is in no way ultimately responsible, starting with one's genetic inheritance and early upbringing. So this is, compatibilism is talking about free will being compatible with determinism. And, it is a philosophical argument because either there's determinism, there's free will, or there's compatibilism, which is another stance. Compatibilism has many sophisticated variants, but this is its core. And to state it is to see what motivates its opponents, the incompatibilists. The incompatibilists hold that freedom is not compatible with determinism. They point out that if determinism is true, then every one of one's actions were determined to happen as it did before one was born. They hold that one can't be held to be truly free and finally morally responsible for one's actions in this case. Compatibilism is a wretched subterfuge, a petty word jugglery, as Kant put it. It entirely fails to satisfy our natural convictions about the nature of moral responsibility. So, incompatibilists pretty much say that determinism and free will are not compatible, and that everything has already been determined. Like everything that's happening has already been decided, which that's what people of the book believe, that God already decided everything that's going to happen, and this is all unfolding to God's desire, which is true. Only if you replace God as yourself. If you have God as the sky daddy, spy God that sees everything and judges everything, and already knows who's going to hell, who's going to heaven, basically, the 144,000 and stuff already going to heaven. God's already decided. That is not the way the universe works, because with free will, you are morally responsible for your actions. If determinism is true, then how can you be morally held responsible for your actions if they're already decided? Which no one is deciding what I'm doing except for myself, and how I act, how I think, how I feel. So definitely I am understanding that free will is something that I am experiencing, which scientific materialists would say that I'm wrong about that. The incompatibilists have a good point and may be divided into two groups. First, there are the libertarians, who wish to answer yes, yes to questions 1 and 2. Libertarians hold that we are indeed free and fully morally responsible agents, and that determinism must therefore be false. Their great difficulty is to explain why the falsity of determinism is any better than determinism when it comes to establishing our free agency and moral responsibility. For suppose that not every event is determined, and that some events occur randomly, or as a matter of chance. How can this help with free will? How can our claim to moral responsibility be improved by the supposition that it is partly a matter of chance or random outcome that we and our actions are as they are? This is a very difficult question for libertarians. So this is important because yeah, so this is important because it says that, you know, the libertarians, which are part of the incompatibilists, which say that determinism is the actually, libertarians hold that we are indeed, like, they say we're free, but they also hold on, I gotta think about this, because this does take a lot of mind power. Okay, so yeah, they're saying that, you know, every event is, the occurrence of random events is something that scientists are saying, like, random event, like even the Big Bang, like just how everything came from nothing, just randomly came out of nothing, is definite, and like cause and effect are not you know, caused by free will, because there would be, like, there would be cause and effect in determinism, but it would say that it was already determined what you're going to do, but it wasn't in this life. You have created everything up to this point, and you will continue to create everything beyond it, and in this life and in the next one, because what you do in this life does determine what you do in the next, and what you do does echo in eternity, like Maximus says. The second group of incompatibilists are less sanguine. They answer no to questions 1 and 2. They agree with the libertarians that determinism rules out genuine moral responsibility, but argue that the falsity of determinism can't help. Accordingly, they conclude that we are not genuinely free agents or genuinely morally responsible, whether determinism is true or false. One of their arguments can be summarized as follows. When one acts in the way that one does because of the way one is. So to be truly morally responsible for one's action, one would have to be truly responsible for the way one is. One would have to be quasi-su, or the cause of oneself, at least in certain crucial mental respects. But nothing can be cause-su. Nothing can be the ultimate cause of itself in any respect. So nothing can be truly morally responsible. So this is saying, like, if you're not the cause of yourself, you can't be morally responsible for what you do, because you didn't cause yourself, so you're not responsible for anything you're doing, which is not compatible, because you are the cause of yourself. You willed yourself into existence, like being a soul. That's part of the mystery too. Suitably developed, this argument against moral responsibility seems very strong. But in many human societies, belief in ultimate moral responsibility continues undebated. In many human beings, the experience of choice gives rise to a conviction of absolute responsibility that is untouched by philosophical arguments that put it in question. The conviction is the deep and inexhaustible source of the free will problem. There are powerful arguments that seem to show that we cannot be morally responsible in the ultimate way that we suppose. But these arguments keep coming up against equally powerful psychological and cultural reasons why we continue to believe that we are ultimately morally responsible. Man, philosophy takes thinking, and this is one of the subjects, as there are different subjects: psychology, mathematics, science, politics, religion, metaphysics, that the Illuminati cover, and very, very extensively. So I'm going to end there, and for this video on free will and the will to power, because it's really important to understand that we have free will, because you have to think something into existence for it to happen. And you have the freedom of thought, as long as your thought is not determined by influences besides yourself. I mean, your thought can be determined by influences. Your thought's going to be determined by influences outside of yourself, but how you react and how you handle those is not determined. It's your choice. So, all right, that's good for now. Until next time.